Hi, my name is Nikki Hausherr, and Jacob Smith and I will be discussing the topic of cheating in gaming.
So let's begin. First of all, it's important to understand what is cheating and what is a standalone versus network. So, cheating is when you act dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage, especially in a game or an examination. This includes video games. Cheating in a standalone single-player game may be purposely implemented by the designers as extra features for marketing and enjoyment. This is done with consent of said consumer and does not affect other consumers. So this would be sort of like a cheat code or any other sort of world that can be accessed through a cheat or any sort of bonus to the gameplay. It's sort of an extra feature. Cheating in a network setting with other players present may not feel like one is actually cheating as it's just virtual reality. However, because other consumers have spent money and time investing in the same game, it's still important to acknowledge that it's important. You're cheating. What is cheating and what isn't? So drawing this line is actually pretty difficult to do, but we're going to attempt to do that just for this presentation's sake. So some questions we asked ourselves: is utilizing any outside resource considered cheating? What about a web page accessible to all players? So here's where the line is generally drawn. So anything generally acceptable to all players is considered fair, like information, as well as anything that could be easily prevented by developers but isn't via patching.
So, in assessing where to draw these lines and determining what is cheating and what isn't cheating, we need to go back to our moral starting point. So, we don't presume to know what values people hold dear. And it is important for players to be able to follow their own values without hindrance of other players within the world of the game. So, four moral theories play a role in determining and examining what is cheating and what is not. So, the benefits of cheating, aside from the most obvious one of winning, um, external resources to cheat, such as cheat codes, may add to a game's popularity and profitability for the company itself. Through the hype of being put above your opponents, as well as the collective learning and finding and sharing these cheats, like the online communities I discussed earlier, acquiring goods within the world of the game, especially in neoliberal structured, capitalist driven, individualistic games. Where your social status within the world of the game and the outside community, and your respect as a gamer and making a name for yourself within the world of the game is heightened, as well as the personal gain and instant gratification. You have a better understanding of the game, as you know its ins and outs. So, the ethical dilemma, what's wrong with cheating in gaming? So, some games have legitimate and acceptable forms of cheating written into the game design itself, as we discussed before. But then there are illegitimate forms of cheating in which some of the games will actually punish you for utilizing. Um, some coding site owners refuse to share certain cheats for certain games, and this also plays into games that stand alone where you can cheat just so that you can cheat and do better within the game, but you're not competing against other people, versus um, cheating within a network where you are competing against other people, and maybe that cheating involves putting them below and putting yourself ahead by exploiting or stealing from them, or simply taking shortcuts to get where they are.
So, cheating through a utilitarian lens. Utilitarian obviously would ask if cheating's consequences would lead to a greater amount of happiness or unhappiness for all players. When a player gives themselves an advantage in a network game, they may be making themselves happier, playing as they wish, but other players will also be affected, falling behind the survival of the fittest and breaking the social contract all players have accepted. We'll get into the social contract in a bit here, but that's really important. The argument could be made that if a cheater assists all players in a difficult game, they may be creating more happiness for all. However, these games are difficult by design, and making them easier ruins the experience the designers had in mind and that the consumers accepted when they bought it. Because it would be rare for every player in a game to accept these easier terms, it is immoral and illogical to suggest that adding items or helping others makes everyone happy. You just can't have everybody accept that contract. If a player's cheats do not affect other players directly or indirectly in any other way, and the player has purchased the game, outside cheats may be moral in standalone play. It's their game, they should be able to do what they please with it. These cheats may help them understand a game better, allow them to play in a way that they deem fit, leading to more happiness for themselves, and may just be generally entertaining to do. It's their game, they should be able to cheat in a single-player game and do what they see fit. So, Kant's response to cheating. Kant would most likely argue that cheating at all in any game is immoral, even if it's a single-player game and no other players are affected. So, similar to lying, which is something that Kant focused on, cheating should follow a universal code. If it is not acceptable in a multiplayer game, it should also not be acceptable in a single-player game. The ends of cheating are a benefit for select players, but means are a failure to treat others with respect and dignity. Basically, you're not allowing these other players to accept this same benefits that everybody could have or just you could have, so without their consent, it's immoral and you're not treating them with any sort of respect. So, cheating in the social contract theory, I think, is the most important one and applies the most. When gamers purchase and log into a game with others, they are accepting a social contract in some sense. They are all on an equal playing field and must follow the code built into the game as the designers intended. Hobbes might relate cheating to a world without rules. If everyone could cheat, the world and game would become chaos. Without these limits, players would resort to their animalistic ways seeking instant gratification. This would be killing every other player, whatever items they wanted they'd be able to give themselves. Rules and cheating prevention systems must be in place in order for everyone to enjoy their experience. And the virtue ethics of cheating. A cheater may be resourceful and courageous if they fear being caught, but because cheating is contradictory to so many other virtues, cheating is not virtuous. A cheater is certainly not fair by definition. They act dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage, especially in the game or examination. And they may also be impatient, cheating to improve their own game instead of working hard or improving with time, which is obviously not virtuous. Finally, cheaters are generally not civil or courteous, as they don't ask if their modifications or benefits are accepted by all players, which is very important.
So, in conclusion, cheating in gaming is generally immoral, except when it doesn't affect other players or if it is built into the game itself. So, because one has purchased a game, it should be his or hers to do what they please with it, as long as their modifications do not affect other consumers who also must be able to play the game in the way that they feel is right for them. So, a balance must be reached, falling in line with a social contract, much like our laws and legislation, that allow people to do as they please as long as it does not negatively affect others.
And that's going to wrap it up. So thank you everybody for watching, and we appreciate it.